Hello and welcome to the 2020 Veterans Day program put on by APUSH. Will you all rise and clap for our veterans as they take their seats? Thank you for coming this morning. The Veterans Day program has long been put on by the U.S. history class at this school. And to be honest, it was kind of difficult as a director to put it together this year, but I'm hoping we can make something nice and something that honors our veterans this year. Without further ado, all rise for the national anthem as sang by our choir.
Oh, sing and you see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets back where the bombs bursting in and gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Before we go any further, I would like to recognize two soldiers that we have among us, Jaden Patton and Colin Aber. And now Peyton with a brief history of Veterans Day.
The Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I, was signed on June 28, 1919. November 11th remains in the public imagination as the day that marked the end of World War I. President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. The day's observations included parades and public gatherings, as well as a brief pause in business activities at 11 a.m. November 11, 1921, an unidentified American soldier killed in the war was buried at Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C. Congress was requested to make this day an occasion to honor those who have served America in all wars. In 1954, President Eisenhower signed a bill proclaiming November 11th as Veterans Day. A law passed in 1968 changed the national commemoration of Veterans Day to the fourth Monday in October. President Gerald R. Ford signed the Public Law 94 through 97, which returned the annual observance of Veterans Day to its original date on November 11th, beginning in 1978. This action supported the desires of the overwhelming majority of state legislatures, all major veteran service organizations, and the American people. So now, every November 11th, a day set aside to thank all those who have served honorably in the military, known as Veterans Day. We honor those people.
Our guest speaker today is Major Aber of the Indiana Army National Guard. Major Aber has served for 21 years, has been deployed to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, and has been awarded 3 Meritorious Service Medals, 5 Army Commendation Medals, 5 Army Achievement Medals, the Indiana Long Service Ribbon, Indiana Commendation Medal, and Indiana Achievement Medal. Please welcome Major Josh Aber.
Good morning. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Peyton because he just covered part of my speech with the historical covering of Veterans Day, so thank you, Peyton. Good morning. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Principal Fahey, Wapahani High School staff and teachers, and all of the Wapahani Raider student body for welcoming me as your guest. It is truly my honor to steward my own community understanding of Veterans Day with you here today. I'd like to thank all of the prior service veterans that are here today, and I'd like to have the opportunity to thank Jaden and Colin on their first Veterans Day. Colin's my son, and it means a lot to me that he's here today in uniform with the opportunity to be honored on Veterans Day. Like he said, my name's Josh Aber. I've served in the U.S. Army through the Indiana Army National Guard for 21 years. I've had the opportunity to hold 3 commands. Recently was able to go on a deployment to the Middle East with the 38th Division headquarters. During that time, we were able to help with the mission against Iranian aggression in the Middle East, supporting Saudi Arabia's air defense. Came back from there, and COVID was here. And so I took about a month break and then went into 15 months of COVID service supporting the Indiana Department of Health. So most recently, we've kind of been helping a lot with vaccines and testing and that type of items with the COVID-19 response. So before we formally go into discussing Veterans Day, can anyone in the crowd raise their hand and name one of the 2 additional significant military service-related federal holidays and what they are for? I bet one of these veterans could bail you out. Memorial Day, absolutely. Landing on the final Monday of May, Memorial Day is the most widely recognized holiday out of the May military-themed observances. It began after the Civil War to remember the soldiers who fell on both sides during the war, but grew to commemorate all Americans who died serving the military. The state of Indiana, because of the Indy 500, is one of the premier locations that supports military festivities over Memorial Day. Probably the largest celebration of Memorial Day occurs at the Indy 500 every year. Also during the month of May and supported during the Indy 500 is the Armed Services Day. And Armed Services Day is where it's celebrated for all those currently still in the service. It is a service-wide holiday for all parts of the service. So the Navy, the Marines, the Army, Air Force will all celebrate Armed Services Day on the same day. However, Armed Services Day was meant to consolidate the separate days where we celebrate those individual services, i.e. their birthdays and things like that. It hasn't. It ended up being an additional day where all the services are celebrated as a conglomerate. So the next thing I was going to cover was the historical significance of Veterans Day. However, it was almost exactly like what Peyton put out. So I'm going to also cover the physical and emotional significance of Veterans Day, specifically from a veteran. So G.K. Chesterton stated, "The true soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him." What is a veteran? A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who at one point in their life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount up to and including their life. Veterans Day has evolved into a special day designated in recognizing and remembering service members for their past service to the nation. So why are service members as a profession, and why is it important to recognize their service? Great question. Service members swear an oath and allegiance to a professional, ethical, and moral code in the profession of arms. This is critically important because the profession of arms is the only profession that is granted the ethical deployment of lethal force in combat. Today, I will share with you the Code of Conduct of the United States Fighting Force. As I read this code, please think about the past and current service members that have committed to apply this code to combat operations. Think about the scale of their hardships experienced by those deployed in the combat operations through all conflicts. Code of Conduct. Article 1. I am an American fighting in the forces which guard my country and our way of life. I am prepared to give my life in their defense. Article 2. I will never surrender of my own free will. If in command, I will never surrender the members of my command while they still have the means to resist. Article 3. If I am captured, I will continue to resist by all means available. I will make every effort to escape and aid others to escape. I will accept neither parole nor special favors from the enemy. Article 4. If I become a prisoner of war, I will keep faith with my fellow prisoners. I will give no information or take part in any action which might be harmful to my comrades. If I am senior, I will take command. If not, I will obey the lawful orders of those appointed over me, and I will back them up in every way. Article 5. When questioned, should I become a prisoner of war, I am required to give name, rank, service number, and the date of birth. I will evade answering further questions to the utmost of my ability. I will make no oral or written statements disloyal to my country and its allies or harmful to their cause. I will never forget I am an American, fighting for freedom, responsible for my actions, and dedicated to the principles which make my country free. I will trust in my God and in the United States of America. So that is the original Code of Conduct. I'm going to now read you the current U.S. Army Soldier's Creed. While I go through this, see how this is similar to the original Code of Conduct and how it relates to service and commitment. Soldier's Creed. I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined, physically and mentally tough, trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills. I will always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. I am an expert and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the enemies of the United States of America in close combat. I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life. I am an American soldier. It's very important to understand that being a veteran and recognizing veterans, you're recognizing commitment. Veterans have committed their service to the nation, and your support to them is very important to them. As you can see, the U.S. service member has continuously made a commitment to a certain way of life in order to protect the freedoms provided to the citizens of the United States of America. I leave you today with this final thought. The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation. That's a pretty old quote. It was spoken by George Washington. Imagine how that is different from today. Is it different from today? Is it different from how it would have been understood 100 years ago? Please consider today what you can do to improve the life of someone else without receiving anything in return. I challenge you, Raider Nation, to be good stewards of your community. Leave something better than you found it. Open a door. Give a compliment. Thank a service member whenever you see one, not just only on Veterans Day or Memorial Day. Carry something, move something, cook a meal, give a ride. You kind of get what I'm putting out here. Just be a good person. Help your community. Your generation is critically important in filling the support void, not only within the ranks of the United States Department of Defense, but in providing life service support to your family and community that have served the service over the past 100 years. Look around your family, look around your community. You're going to find veterans, some disabled, some not, but all would love to be recognized. If they're not disabled, it's likely that they will stand right next to you in helping other veterans in the community, or already are. They need your help. They want your help. I appreciate you having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Major Aber. We hosted an art competition for Veterans Day to sort of commemorate our veterans and for members of the school to draw something that showed what Veterans Day meant to them. And the winner of this contest was Cody Lingenfelter. Will Cody please come up and accept his reward? Good job. And now, may I ask the choir to come sing their song in Flanders Fields?
I'd like to tell you a little bit about this piece of music we're about to perform. Flanders, a former country on the North Sea, was the heart of economic and political development in the Low Countries during the Middle Ages. It included the present Belgian provinces of West and East Flanders and parts of modern France and the Netherlands. With its favorable location on the sea, Flanders became a wealthy trading center with numerous industrial towns such as Bruges and Ghent. Flanders has been the scene of repeated warfare from the time of the Crusades in the 12th century through the 100 Years' War in the 14th century, and from the Spanish War in the 1600s and 1700s to extraordinary battles during World War I. In 1919, Dr. John McCrae wrote the stirring poem entitled Flanders Fields. In 15 short lines, McCrae captures the courage, valor, awe, and stark reality of war. The images he invokes of young people's lives, once so full of hope and beauty, vanquished by the ravages of warfare, are some of the most moving ever penned. To this day, it continues to be an emotional salute to the young men and women who have given their lives in warfare protecting the lands, the people, and the dreams that we cherish most. His challenge to take up the torch of the fallen warriors is as desperate a challenge to remember as any we will find in the English language. On Veterans Day, or Remembrance Days in North America, we often wear a poppy blossom on our lapel to salute our fallen warriors. This beautiful gesture was incurred by the vivid words of Dr. McCrae's poem. I'd like to read you this poem now because the phrasing of the poem and the song is different. In Flanders Fields by Dr. John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow between the crosses row on row that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up your quarrel with the foe, To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. From the intrepid battlefields of Gettysburg and Bull Run, Europe and the Pacific, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, and all the battles before and after, we do our best to remember the sacrifice of others who protected our dreams and realities. Lest we forget, in Flanders Fields will be there to remind us. We hope that this music setting of these immortal words will move you to remember and be grateful.
Thank you so much to the choir for that amazing song. And now Kendall with the table for one.
This table for one is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single rose in the vase signifies the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. The rose reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep the faith while awaiting their return. The red ribbon on the vase represents the red ribbons worn on the lapels of the thousands who demand with unyielding determination a proper accounting of our comrades who are not among us tonight. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of the families as they wait. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us tonight. The chair is empty. They are not here. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors to the open arms of a grateful nation. Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifices. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families.
And now, Keegan Mullins will play taps to honor the soldiers who never made it home. As we dismiss, let me leave you with this final thought. On this Veterans Day, let us remember the service of our veterans, and let us renew our national promise to fulfill our sacred obligations to our veterans and their families who have sacrificed so much so that we can live free. Dan Lipinski. Thank you so much for coming. This concludes our 2021 Veterans Program.